Let's do this. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. The Munsters is new, streaming on Netflix. It's directed and written by Rob Zombie. Lily, played by Sherry Moon Zombie, is having trouble finding Mr. Right, even though her father, the Count, played by Daniel Roebuck, is working day and night, mostly night, to find one for her. Meanwhile, Dr. Henry Augustus Wolfgang, played by Richard Brakey, and his dim-witted assistant Floop, played by Lost's Jorge Garcia, are diligently working to reanimate the dead and finally have a success after Floop steals the wrong brain, creating the mammoth oaf Herman, played by Jeff Daniel Phillips. Once Lily meets Herman, it's love at first sight. Where to begin? I honestly think this film broke me. After watching it, I simply couldn't gather enough energy to write a review. Usually I have no problems plopping out 1,000 or so words about a movie after watching it. But this was a chore from start to finish. I actually started The Munsters the night it premiered, but turned it off after 20 minutes. It was that bad. But knowing a review of the first 20 minutes really isn't giving the film a chance, I did my due diligence as a reviewer and pressed on the next day and watched the whole damn movie. Let's start out with saying I never really liked the Munsters TV show. To me, they were always the palsied step-cousin of the Addams Family. All of the greatest performances were in that series. All of the spooky and twisted stuff occurred there. The Munsters, instead, were more guttural and cornier. Herman, the protagonist, was a buffoon, and while a buffoon is sometimes fun to watch, seeing him front and center in every episode was just too much for me. For me, The Munsters was where all of the bad jokes and worse ideas from the Addams Family went to die. So right off the bat, this film didn't really strum those feelings of nostalgia for me. Even though, I guess, I'm the target audience for this movie, since, like many of you, I grew up watching The Munsters on syndication on TBS after school every day. Still, Rob Zombie, a man known for his comedic writing, writes The Munsters as if it were an adult talking to a toddler with broad humor, bright colors, and over-the-top antics. No adult will want to watch this, not even ironically. So who is this for? Well, maybe toddlers are the target audience for this one. It's got bright colors that dazzle and overly animated antics that would mesmerize children who haven't developed a sense of good taste yet. Older kids, millennials, they don't even know who or what a monster is, and more importantly, they won't care because they don't remember them. So Zombie made a movie that will really only entertain those who will watch noise and movement on a screen. The story is threadbare and unoriginal. Zombie blatantly steals from young Frankenstein with the brain blunder for Herman. Maybe he might call this homage, but without any nuance, I'm calling it what it is, an out-and-out burglary. There's almost no conflict to be seen in this story. It's simply someone needs something, someone gets that need filled. Lily wants a man, she finds a man in Herman. The Count doesn't like Herman and tries to stop the courtship with Lily. He fails after one attempt, and then they get hitched. Lester, played by Thomas Boykin, who is Lily's werewolf brother, sells their castle to one of the Count's ex-wives. Herman, Lily, and Count immediately decide to move to California. Once there, Herman needs a job. Herman immediately gets a job. There's absolutely no conflict. Things just happen. It's just sight gags and painfully corny jokes. I don't know how you make an almost 2-hour movie with absolutely no conflict, but somehow Rob Zombie has accomplished that. The love story between Lily and Herman makes no sense either. Again, Lily just sees Herman immediately and falls in love. She gives no reason. Herman does nothing to win her over. If you're going to make a movie about Lily meeting Herman, at least put in some roadblocks along the way. Show us why, despite his horrifying looks, deficient brain, and childish demeanor, Lily loves Herman. Have him do something that shows his humanity, or at least give him one redeeming quality that only Lily sees. Show that, despite the fact that the Munsters seem to view the world differently than the rest, something like love is universal. But that would get in the way of Zombie injecting horrible songs, worse jokes, and cliched scenes that lack inspiration or creativity. Even a side story about how the Munsters get Spot is plopped in with no nuance or creative ideas. What are we going to call our new pet, Herman? I think we should call him Spot. Why? Who knows? There's no significance to anything here. If there's a redeeming quality to the Munsters, it's that at least Zombie attempted to make the film look different. It doesn't look good. It actually looks horribly cheap with comic booky backgrounds and over-the-top situations, and the same interiors used numerous times for different places. Some production design was put into the Munster home once they get there, but for the most part, the film lacks any atmosphere aside from turning the color contrast amped up to the moon. It works at giving each lead their own bright, gaudy color plate, but the problem is, all the other colors, even normal people, are made to look monstrous with this over-the-top tinting. There's a short sequence of black and white cartooning that gives us a peek at what a black and white version of this film might look like. I think that would have been a better way to make the Munsters feel more distinct. But it's only a momentary distraction to the technicolor vomit of the rest of the movie. Sherry Moon Zombie does a decent Lily Munster impression, but adds very little to the role. There was a genuine wholesomeness to Yvonne De Carlo's performance as the original Lily. Though it is a popular opinion Sherry is simply a bad actress, I never thought she was unbearable to watch. Sure, it's annoying Zombie casts her as the lead in every one of his films, but she holds her own here and able to accomplish some of the more subtle comedy beats. Jeff Daniel Phillips is unbearable. At least Fred Gwynne was able to convey the comedy with his exaggerated facial expressions and size. Plus, he had some great comic timing with the rest of the cast. Gwynne definitely made Herman dense, but there was also a false bravado and a level of confidence despite his stupidity that made him almost fun to watch blunder through things. Phillips is a one-man show of painful comedy bits, awful dad jokes, and pratfalls, all accompanied by comic music bursts. Phillips just isn't a leading man and isn't able to sell the comedy, even though he attempts the same kind of depth with comments about his role in the family and attempts at confidence. These two lead roles, which make up most of the film, are another reason why this homage rots quickly into bad parody. The only redeeming person in the cast is Daniel Roebuck. He does a dead-on Al Lewis impression and is able to give the character some gravitas, despite the abysmal lines he has to spout. There are some silent looks of hate towards Herman that work, but they're few and far between. Roebuck seems to be the only one who knows how to do serious comedy and sell it. I feel sorry for Roebuck, who outperforms the rest of the cast by a galaxy. What's worse is seeing talented actors like Richard Brakey, who was just seen in the excellent Barbarian, hamming it up and not really knowing what to do from one scene to the next other than ape for the camera. All around, except for Roebuck, there's nothing to see here thespian-wise. Munsters doesn't even know how to end properly. It just kind of plunks out some kind of final joke, almost knowing that no one but true masochists will have endured this film long enough to get there. There are minute conflicts about every 20 minutes that are quickly resolved, but no real overarching, consistent thread that gets taken care of by the end of the film, leading me to believe the Munsters movie might have been at first envisioned as a 5-part miniseries that was glommed together at the last minute. And while I always try to hold out for something watchable like House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects, Zombie never fails to disappoint. Just when you thought 31 and 3 from Hell were the new lows Zombie could achieve at incoherent narrative, bad performances, blundering editing, and nonsensical plots, he churns out the Munsters to show that there is no depth Zombie's filmmaking can't plunge past. Watch anything else, folks. Anything else.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality.